Good morning, students. How are you all? Fine. Okay, very good. Dear students, as usually, now is the session of economics. And in the previous sessions, in video session as well as online session, I had started to complete the new topic, meaning and types of propensity to consume, which I have already completed. And in this way, we find that aggregate demand is sum total of household consumption demand and investment demand. But before knowing what exactly investment is, let us first understand who makes investment demand. Do you know, students, all types of producers, that means all producing units, those who are engaged in production, they make investment demand. Now let us make it clear of what type of goods and services they make demand for. The producing units, the enterprises, the producers demand raw materials, demand factor services, demand non-factor services, demand machineries, demand buildings, demand lands, and several things, several goods and services like these are whatever are used during the process of production of a commodity are called investment demand. So we can define investment demand as the demand for goods and services by the producing units, by different producers, to ensure production of final goods and services, which will again be used for production purposes as well as for consumption purposes. In fact, all the producers of an economy produce all sorts of the goods and services. They produce the goods and services for consumption as well as they produce goods and services for production. And whenever they buy goods and services, whatever are required for production of final goods and services will be called as investment demand. Okay, students, I think this concept of investment demand might be well clear to you all. Do you know, students, as household consumption demand is measured in terms of the expenditure made by household consumers on consumption of final goods and services, the same way investment demand of different producing units of an economy can be expressed, can be measured in terms of the expenditure made by the producers on production of final goods and services. So any expenditure made by the producing units on any such an asset that is used during production process is called investment expenditure. And sometimes it is also called capital formation. Now you correlate this investment demand with growth and development of the country in terms of GDP. If more and more investment demand by the different producing units, there will be more and more production of goods and services in the economy, implying high rate of growth in GDP that will ultimately result into the development also through trickle down effect as per the concepts of economics. Maybe other circumstances, but directly the level of economic growth and development of an economy depends on the level of investment. That means depends on the investment expenditure. Okay. Now do you think the investment expenditure or investment demand made by different producing units is influenced by which factor? Whether the investment demand or investment expenditure of different producing units will be large or small. It basically depends on three factors. First, it depends on business expectations. That means if there are high expectations of earning profit in the market, that means if the market is in the phase of boom or coming out of the phase of recession, then certainly business expectations will be on high. And if such a condition is prevailing in the economy, then the producers will make investment demand or investment expenditure, otherwise not. Normally, it is observed that during recession, the business expectations happen to be very poor, very low. And in that condition, the investors, the producers, the producing units do not like to make investment demand or investment expenditure at larger scale. The second important determinant of investment demand is the rate of interest. Since we are explaining the short-run equilibrium of an economy given by James Keynes, therefore it is already assumed that in the short run any investment is made by the producing units through borrowings from the commercial banks or through the banking system. When the finance is obtained from the banking system, then the banks charge a certain rate of interest that is called the cost of borrowings. Naturally, if the rate of interest or cost of borrowings happens to be very high, then the producers, the investors will make low investment demand. And if the rate of interest or cost of borrowings happens to be low, then the producing units or producers will make low investment demand or low investment expenditure. Okay, students, clear now? The third important factor that determines investment demand in an economy is called marginal efficiency of investment, or MEI in short, and in some of the books you will find it as MEC, that is called marginal efficiency of capital. What is this marginal efficiency of investment? Let us understand. It is the expected return from investment of additional capital, from additional investment. Suppose you invest rupees 10 crore in your business. Certainly you will have some expectations from this investment in terms of profit. And if you feel that the rate of profit or return from this investment is high, then you will make the investment, otherwise not. So students, here if you feel the rate of return is very high from investment, then you will make this additional investment, otherwise not. So whatever you expect, or you can say in better way, the expected rate of interest from any kind of investment in the business is called marginal efficiency of investment, or MEI, and marginal efficiency of capital, or MEC. Okay, students. So these are the three main factors, three main determinants of influencing the investment demand in an economy. And in fact, this is the level of investment demand, investment expenditure, or capital formation on which the level of economic growth and development depends. Okay, students. Now, you will find that there is a peculiar relationship between the rate of interest, level of investment, and MEI. Normally, at higher level of investment, at lower level of investment, MEI happens to be very high, because the profit generated through investment is shared by a very few persons. But as soon as investment starts increasing, this MEI also starts falling, because the profit now starts to be shared by many people. Thus, with increase in every investment, MEI happens to fall. Okay, students. So if you keep the level of investment along the x-axis and the rate of interest along y-axis, then you will find that the MEI curve is sloping downward from left to right. And it also shows that at higher rate of interest, the level of investment happens to be very low, and at lower rate of interest, the level of investment happens to be very high. So keep it in mind for always that MEI curve of an economy is sloping downward from left to right. Or you may conclude that there is an inverse relationship between the rate of interest and cost of borrowings and the level of investment in an economy. And also there is an inverse relationship between the level of investment and MEI. So students, in today's lecture I have completed the two major components of aggregate demand, which are called household consumption demand and investment demand, at my level best as far as possible. And I hope that you will go through this topic in something detailed and better way than me. And if have confusions again, then you may contact me. Thank you very much.